So here's the mouth of the Sepulga coming into the Conecuh River, which is going to be about, and this is just a guess, 3 times bigger than the Sepulga, at least, and it's going to get considerably bigger. The Conecuh runs all the way to the Florida line and changes its name to the Escambia River, and then it flows into Escambia Bay and eventually Pensacola Bay. So this is the Conecuh River. It originates in central Alabama near Bullock County. Has one dam on it in Andalusia, and so the water level is somewhat variable. This is the clearest the Conecuh River water has been in a long time because of the level and the lack of rain. So it is clear, pretty, and looks a little bit like the Sepulga up here, but it's going to change into a big meandering sandbar river. Sycamore roots. Unique. And all of these rock formations are unique, and they're especially unique now the water's pretty low and you can see under them. This is a great sandbar for camping, and if the water's low. High water, the sandbar is going to be covered, but this one's big. In fact, this is the first big sandbar we've seen on the whole trip. And on the other side is a little stream that comes from a spring in Teddy. Very interesting little creek, flows about 4 miles maybe, and then that's the end of it. But it comes from nearly in the backyard of the Holmesville Church of Christ building. This is the famous sandbar at McGowin Bridge. Many a kid has had a party here over the years and probably still do. And you can jump off that bluff, and then below that, where that water swirls, is 90 feet. I know it's 90 feet because I scuba dived shooting catfish here one night, and my depth gauge said 90 right there off the tip of that ledge. And then there's a current under the water that flows up here, and it ends up about 6 or 7 feet right over there in the corner. That's McGowin Bridge over Highway 29 going to Andalusia from Brewton. These black willows become much more dominant as you go down the river. Whole sandbars are just covered with them. I believe this is Poley Creek coming in on the left. So this long eddy is just about over. As we bend toward Flomaton, Alabama and the Florida line, which we're not going to on this trip. I believe this is Foley Creek. So we have Foley and Poley right here close together, coming out of Bradley. It's a pretty big creek when the water's running because you see the sandbar it's put up. And this is the Cotton House boat landing, coming out of the Conecuh National Forest, which is on our left. Conecuh National Forest borders the river on the left for a long way here. And this is where the break is going to be down here, and the river is going to flow a little faster finally. It's big. Johnny and I discussing, you can see a whole mile straight ahead just about. I've heard lots of stories about motorboats going fast on this river back in the 60s when I was a kid. And I always thought, man, I just can't wait to get to the river. The river's low right now. You'd be endangering your daddy's motorboat if you had it running up and down the river now. As a little kid, I was 9, and it was in the spring around April. We came here on a Saturday for picnics with a family, not my family, but another family. It was my friends. I was collecting little creatures in a glass jar. Dropped the jar, fell on it, gave myself a pneumothorax as the glass punctured my chest. And this is about the place I came as close to dying as you possibly can come. A friend tried to carry me up the hill, dropped me, and I rolled down. They thought my head was damaged, and it may have been, because a lot of folks have questioned my head being damaged for years. Anyway, on the way to the hospital, they realized I had a chest damage, and after that they diagnosed a pneumothorax, put in the chest tube, and I survived. From that day on, from 1967 till now, my family is very particular about letting any child walk around with a glass jar in his hand. Even today, I kind of expect to see families up here having picnics and drinking out of the flowing well, but they have let the place go. As a child, this is one of the most exciting places in the world for me to go. After 1967, it's a little less exciting and a little more nervous for the rest of my family. And this cypress tree got cut off, but since cypress doesn't rot, it'll be there till something blows it or pushes it down. I believe those are chemotropic bacteria breaking down iron or something in the soil. Conecuh, miles and miles of sameness and solitude. If you want to get away from it all, this is the place. Also a great place to fish. Got the wind behind us and a good current. Sandbars are big now and around every bend. So when they logged these woods, they left these trees either because they're close to the river or as seed trees. But then when the bank breaks, you can see what happens to them. The banks have changed from rock to this white soapstone, as people call it. And so also the banks are mostly stratified soil. And so the river eats out one side and replaces that much dirt with the other side. If you're a landowner, you really hate it because you're losing your land. Otherwise, it's just what nature does. It's 3:51 on Wednesday, and we're making great time. Fixing to hit a log. Canoeing is about as fast as hiking. Somewhere between 2.2 and 2.5 miles per hour. So you make about the same miles. You don't get as tired though by any means. Different things get tired. This is Silas Creek, which is a nice little creek coming in on the left side. Well, there's a bluff on this river called Evans Bluff. If that's not it, it misses a pretty good chance. That's much a bluff. And made it to Highway 4. So we've gone from Highway 84 near Evergreen to Highway 4 at the Ridge Road in Brewton in 3 days, 2 nights. Well, we made it. We picked a good one. That's the old Highway 4 bridge. the old Highway 4 bridge, what's left of it. The wind is really trying to blow my tent down, but I've got it staked down with a big stake. If I were in the woods hiking, I'd tie it to a tree. Johnny's all set. We're somewhere below Highway 4, just a little bit, on a pretty nice gravel bar. Breaking down camp on the last day. We thought we were going to go 4 nights, but the river was faster than we thought. So we should finish today. They must have dropped the lake during the night because the river dropped. The Conecuh River is almost never clear. And it is clear this trip. In fact, you can see it. One of the rare chances to see the Conecuh River clear. Here we go, setting out on day 4. We're about Highway 4. This is September the 28th and it's 7:43. So we're a little bit ahead of schedule because we've been setting out about 8. And we've got about 5 hours ahead of us to get to Riverview near East Brewton, Alabama. Water's still as glass. And the old highway bridge is still there. So Parker Bridge is still standing. I would guess this bridge was built sometime after World War II, so it's not that old. And now it's not used. That's kind of a shame. This is a neat formation. Layers of, I think, clay. These our piers tell a story of somebody building a bridge over the river here, probably. You can see back here in the woods where they come out of the woods. The sandbars at this end are huge. Compare them to the non-existent sandbars on the Sepulga. As this sandbar develops, it'll grow its willows, and as we round the bend, you can see willows and sycamores already on the back. And then the sandbar will build up, and then the river will cut out this bank, which it's doing. You can see the trees falling there. It's cutting out that bank. During a flood, it might actually cut off this whole bend of the river and make what they call an oxbow. And the woods here have oxbow lakes in them from when that very thing happened. So this is an old bridge, and you notice it runs counter to the direction of the creek, but when it was built, it ran across the river, I'm sorry. It runs counter to the direction of the river, but when it was built, it ran across the river, and now the river has changed. These shells from an ancient ocean, and this ocean was ancient when the Indians lived here. This seems like the right spot for Travis Creek. Somebody can correct me in the commentary if it's not. And if that's the case, we're fairly close to the bridge. Alright, this is the Riverview Bridge on the 4th day at 12:55. They removed the old bridge almost completely, and it looks like they pushed the rest of it down. Well, the next question is there a truck up here?